Political analyst Dr. Lauren Wright. She's an associate research scholar and lecturer at Princeton University. Dr. Wright, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, whether it's abortion rights or gun reform, the economy, or education, are those specific issues big enough to supersede the importance of how voters feel specifically about the job that President Biden has done so far?
Well, the job President Biden has done so far is going to, no matter what, and it happens in every single election, be hinged heavily on how the economy is doing and whether we're involved in any foreign conflict. You can predict a lot of election outcomes that way, at least in a presidential election. So any of those specific issues you just mentioned, I don't think will supersede the importance of inflation and the economy and gas prices, these closely linked issues that people deal with on a day-to-day basis. But that doesn't mean that Democrats don't have some things to campaign on with abortion, for instance. Republicans' position on that, overturning Roe v. Wade, is very unpopular with most of the country.
Let's talk about the campaigning itself. This will be the first midterm election since the January 6th attack on the Capitol. How much, if at all, have the dynamics of campaigning itself changed from the last midterms in 2018 to now? Are you noticing any particular trends in how the two parties are trying to appeal to voters?
So one thing that has happened a lot in recent decades is that even these very specific congressional elections have become highly nationalized. And so one of my colleagues, Dan Hopkins at UPenn, studies this very closely. And what it just means is that when people think about voting for a House seat, maybe it's a very specific district, sometimes those issues do become more linked to the president. They do become more linked to national debates, even if those debates are very far away from the day-to-day concerns of voters in that district. So we've seen that, but there's also some underlying realities that have been there for a while. And one of them, of course, is that the president's party typically loses seats, about 26 on average in a midterm election. And so some of that will be probably pretty typical in November.
All right, political analyst Dr. Lauren Wright, appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Jay.